Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Thanks for visiting Joseph Dawood, and which I bring to you all of the sort of important news, information, health stories, um, some education, some religion topics. In this broadcast, I wanted to go over the recent situation with regards to the coronavirus. Unfortunately, one Sunnybrook Hospital here in Toronto, and it's not really sure the level of the severity, but it's somewhat the strain of the coronavirus has been found, and I guess he's been treating as a suspect of that they're infected, that this patient is infected with the recent coronavirus. Um, and So this patient now at Sunnybrook Hospital came from China, from the situation, from the province that's being affected in China. I just want to go over that. Just you see that Wuhan coronavirus is now spread to several countries other than China, but I wanted to compare it with something that we didn't really hear too much. We did hear at the beginning of it. It's the MERS coronavirus. So the acronym is Middle East Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus, which came out officially in 2012. And I was looking at some stats here, and it seems like it was pretty severe in the Saudi Arabia. 374 cases confirmed with the MERS coronavirus, and out of that, 575 deaths. And it spread to other countries like South Korea, United Arab Emirates. South Korea, seen 186 people infected at that time. So mainly concentrated in Saudi Arabia at that time for this. It's a different type of virus, but I guess from the same family. Same sort of type of infectious lower respiratory tract infections, and causes of death pretty severe. But I think this is on a larger scale at this point, because I think what the Chinese authorities have done is basically shut down the whole cities under complete lockdown. So you're talking about approximately 35 million to probably 40 million people are locked down in about 12 cities. So that's probably why we haven't seen the spread through other countries, whether through Middle East or through Europe or North America yet, or as aggressive, because really you have millions of people now just locked down either in their homes or in the hospitals. And okay, someone's okay. Well, unfortunately, my mother passed away when I was young, so I can't comment on that. So that was a really weird comment. I won't. And if you want, I'm gonna send a link here. This is from the Infection Prevention and Control Canada. So this website is talking a bit about the coronavirus. I will post. Here's a link. You can take a look, guys, and you can see it's not really updated regarding the situation with the current coronavirus, the 2019-NCOV. The data they're giving here is 916 cases and 26 deaths. We know now, from the news articles today, that the confirmed deaths, or the ones that are actually being sort of used or portrayed as 52 deaths at this point. But some people on, I guess, video and information there from people in China are stating that it's much higher. So what else can we find out here? I'm not sure what the preventions though are in Toronto. Okay, 100 nanometers. The N95 mask. The N95 masks. Do they? You're saying that they protect 300 nanometers? Because if I'm not mistaken, there's three different types of. There's another N95 mask if I'm not mistaken. I can't. I don't think it's called N95 though for nanomaterials for nanoparticles. Because you can find that where in nanomaterial labs they have particular masks for nanomaterials up until 100 nanometers. Yeah, yeah. Um, I had coronavirus. Okay. Yeah, but I think the N95 is not. Yeah, you're right. It's not gonna. If it's at 100 nanometers, I'm not sure where did you get that information from? From which resource? Azul, are you able to share that with us? What do we see here? So this MERS that happened in 2012, uh, it was sort of on the rise and then it just plummeted down. And then that was back to 2016. The data that I was just reading to you guys, and it seems that it sort of dropped down after 2016. Hmm. But mainly it's constricted in the Middle Eastern countries, mainly Saudi Arabia, like had the largest number of cases and deaths. But I think what's happening in China is on a much larger scale. Oh, YouTube won't let you. Google coronavirus nanometer size. Yeah, I believe that N95 is. You're right. It's not going. It's not going to be good for 100 nanometers. There's particular masks for nanomaterials. So I work in a lab that we deal with sometimes nanomaterials like nanographene, carbon nanotube, and there's particular masks for. If I'm not mistaken, it's P95 or there's the P99. I haven't dealt with nanomaterials before, but I know several colleagues that do, and there's a particular mask that they use. I'm not sure how effective it is. I think it's a one-time thing though, so like it's good for one-time use, and then you have to toss it. There's a particular procedure that you need to take to throw out these contaminated material, like materials contaminated with nanoparticles. Um, I see. I'm not too sure. Like, I'm not too sure now what like Toronto or Canada has planned because if you guys remember in 2000 during the SARS situation, that sort of caught Toronto off by guard. And if I'm not mistaken, in Toronto we had 25 people that passed away at that time. So that was very difficult, and it was sort of hit the public health here off guard. Caught them off guard, and um, they, they weren't prepared. So people were going downtown to work and thinking that the situation is under control, whereas the virus was spreading. So these, as you all know, viruses take a few days, even sometimes a week, to start to progress. But we're gonna have to wait and see in the next. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see what's gonna happen in the next few days. I would say tomorrow we'd have some more information. Maybe by Monday we'd have a better idea of what the how severe it is in say Canada or in Toronto specifically. So what else can we find here? Can we find any other information? Let's take a look. See what's happening in China. Okay, so this is from Science. So a lot of the information, as you guys have seen, like Twitter, there's a lot of information coming out, contradictory information as well. So it's not clear. So okay, you're saying Google Hong Kong declares a state of emergency on the coronavirus. Okay, well, Hong Kong is, and the not sure why the WHO hasn't declared a state of emergency yet. It seems like because there is a lockdown of millions of people, this thing is not, you know, hasn't spread that quickly yet to the surroundings. So um, they just, if you look at this, the pictures, the streets and towns, miles of road, you could see that it's just empty, right? So there's complete lockdown. People either in their homes. So this is Hong Kong Free Press. Shantou has become the first city in Guangdong province, neighboring Hong Kong, to announce lockdown measures in response to the Wuhan coronavirus. So public transportation will stop running at 2 p.m. on Sunday, while external vehicles and ships will not be allowed in at midnight. Okay. This is another video here. Volunteers are sending supplies to hospitals after medics crying for help to society due to everything shortage, including face masks and lockdown city. So everyone is questioning, I guess this person is saying, where the fuck is the government? Okay. So I'm not sure if even the Chinese government is prepared to handle millions of people being locked down in their homes. People they got for each other. Well, yeah, and definitely in catastrophes, we people can't rely completely on the government. Government is always gonna sugarcoat things until the situation is irreparable, or at least halfway through the disaster. They'll just try to make sure that they clear up their reputation and make everything so nice, fine and dandy. They got everything under control. I hope that's not going to happen here in Toronto, and in Canada. That the Liberal government is very obvious, and whether Liberal or Conservative, they'll keep things sort of on the low end. They won't actually give the truth out to the people to know exactly what's going on. So just to keep the economy going or keep businesses running. But I hope that the situation in like Canada doesn't escalate, because I work in Toronto and I don't want to be going there in rush hour with tens of thousands of people at any moment when you're in rush hour, and be susceptible to be infected, right? So. Um, So yeah. Well, how many people have traveled outside of China? I think you just it's the Lunar New Year, so you got millions and millions of Chinese celebrating the New Year. So they're either going back home or flying back from China back to their where, if they're studying abroad or if they live abroad. Um, there's 90,000 people infected. Now the thing is, this 90,000, how are they confirming that they are infected with the coronavirus? Like exactly. So if they have the symptoms, like are they um, is there a particular blood test that they're doing, or they're taking samples from the respiratory tract, or I'm not sure exactly how they would test to confirm, or they're just looking at some symptoms that they progress the progressing symptoms in the people. Hmm. USA should lock down the borders, all air, car, ship travel. Well, yeah, I would say any if the situation is where people are dying in droves, at this point they're declaring 52 people dying, right? So, but it seems like it's much larger than that number. That number, it seems like it's been lowballed just to make, just so that people don't get into a panic. Even WHO hasn't closed, like stated, made a statement of declared a medical emergency, a global emergency. So I don't know, like how many people need to die so that they declare this emergency, right? How many people need to be infected? If 90,000 people are infected and it's confirmed that's this coronavirus, I would say immediately, like, yeah, I would you would have to shut down the borders and prevent people from flying in, even if it has to affect the economy, because some people are comparing it to the bubonic plague at this point. We're living in a polluted environment everywhere you go, whether it's in North America, Europe, Asia, Middle East. With pollution comes lack of immunity, right? So the food that we eat, the water that we drink, the air that we breathe, and everything's fast, commercialization. So if we continue eating and drinking and living stressful lives, how is your body going to be able to handle when you get hit with a much stronger, much um, deadlier virus or infection? So it's important that we realize that, and um, when you're living in that kind of environment, that worldwide, it's not necessarily in one location. You're going to see lots of people getting sick. You're going to see lots of people dying because they haven't been living healthy lives for most of their life, and it's not their fault. This is, you're born in this society, and unless you realize the situation of our food, water, and air is actually pretty dire. And some people wake up, they get really sick, they get cancer, they get some infectious disease, candida or some other infection, and then they heal themselves, whether through conventional medicine or naturopathic medicine, and they get better. But most people, they're not really awake yet. They are living a daily life. They get sick. They have those ailments: the knee pain, the back pain, the joint pain, headaches, constant headaches. But then it's really a lack of immunity. Their immune system has been compromised for so many years, and then when suddenly a shock comes into them, like a virus that is trying to kill you, your body is not ready for it. Your immune system is very strong. It can't handle many situations, but if it's compromised, then there's certain things that you can take, certain remedies, which is sort of being suppressed by the mainstream. By you can talk to many people that are prominent online that their videos or their information is being sort of downballed or suppressed from mainstream media, and yeah, so. Uh, I would say declaring an emergency is needed at this point, because if China is locking down millions of people, then the situation must be serious. They know it's serious. That's the issue, and I think Canada also needs to be very transparent, especially the health, the the health response units and the public health safety needs to be very transparent with the people, because we don't want a situation like 2000 where people were going to work knowing and where there was no state of emergency, 20 something people died. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, January's been nuts, and it's very interesting. Like a lot of this stuff is happening on the new year. You know, this these situations, and it doesn't seem to be affecting crypto markets. Okay, I'm not too. You know, I think that's something I'm not really into. Like I watch some videos, but crypto markets, um, not really my thing yet. Maybe, you know, it looks like I don't know if this thing is going to cause the global economy to to collapse. Hopefully not. But you never know. Like we don't know the severity yet, unless we have to wait. We have to wait another few days to start having a better idea. Again, they're locking down millions of people. 35 million people is not a small number. It's not like they're locking down a couple thousand. So, and even when by doing that, still spreading. So we'll see what's going to happen. Maybe we'll get back to Twitter to see any other. Okay, so the patient flew from Wuhan to Guangzhou, and from there, Toronto public officials are working to identify the passengers who sat within 3 rows of him on those flights. Oh, okay. So some passengers sat with him, and but what is Toronto going to do? Are they going to declare a emergency, or what is their message to the public? I don't see anything about that. They're just confirming that potentially this person was infected by the coronavirus. And oh, okay, thank you. Thanks, Paulo. If you like my channel, hopefully you subscribe. I want to try to bring some more videos. I was reporting a little bit about Iran during that situation, about the American presidency. Yeah, Azul. Yeah, $40 billion of world markets. Okay. Yeah, SARS was a disaster. SARS was I was also working downtown at that time. I was studying. I was going to university downtown Toronto, and when that hit, that was quite scary, because for they were not, the public health were not coming out and saying that this is a serious situation and we need to declare an emergency, until people started dying. It's almost like the Walkerton issue. Like until people started dying, then that's when they realized they had an issue with the water. So that's your government agencies for you. Like they're not going to make it seem like so out of control of their hand, because they need to show that they are in control, right? And that they're handling the situation. But I think people need to use their common sense and logic when there's situations like this. Now, I'm seriously considering not going to work on Monday, if I'm going to be following the news tomorrow to see exactly what's happening, and like if any other confirmed cases in Toronto, because where I park is like near Chinatown. So I'm assuming if God forbid this doesn't blow up, but if it does, I may like consider alternative measures to going to work, and maybe just taking a couple days off just to see how severe this thing is gonna grow, or how bad it's getting. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, actually, maybe because it's late. It's 1:20 a.m. here. I'm not sure most of you are. I think a lot of people who follow my channel are in U.S. United States. Yeah. So, oh, what's this? Someone is saying there's quick burials. Oh, this is from Telegraph. Interesting. Yeah, I was reading that yesterday. It seems like the officials there in China are reluctant to actually state the reason that the people are dying. Like they would just write down pneumonia, right, without actually stating it was a coronavirus that killed the person, and then do send them off to be buried. So I found that very a little bit creepy. And is that Nate? Where did you get those numbers, Nate? Nate L. Real numbers as of now: 2.8 million infected with 112,000 dead. Do you have a source for that, or that we can refer to? Pneumonia. Pneumonia. Pneumonia is the. Uh, they're burning the bodies. Oh wow. We got these uh, these things get crazier by the minute. I just flew through sea attack. So let's start in the Wuhan lab. Well, I think I saw a post by an Israeli. I guess he was a Israeli reporter, but it seems like he has some army affiliation, and he was stating that about one of the army experts there in Israel just saw the situation, and he's stating that it's uh, most likely biological transfer, biological weapon testing that went wrong, or I guess it was maybe being done on animals, and this virus now has been able to transfer into humans. But that's what I was reading this post from an Israeli reporter, and who has army affiliation as well. So yeah, so it seems like most likely, I think these are biological weapons being tested. It's not something that's hidden. It's not like it's unknown. That's not happening. If they're if they're doing nuclear tests, for sure they're doing biological and chemical testing. Um, Population control. Well, if you just look at the globalist agenda, then you know for sure what you're talking. Population control and population suppression is on the top of the list, right? So it's one. Uh, it's not easy to control billions of people on Earth, right? So you just have to look at it like that. If you have globalists and elitists that are in control of most of the resources around the world, uh, and then that's one of their top agendas is climate change, and that people are going to cause the Earth to disintegrate in 9 years. Um, then for sure you have to think about population control as part of the situation. Yeah, it's hard to believe if they're locking down 35 million people. I would say they must be it must be really serious for them to do such a thing. If it was, like, say, within one city, if it was controlled within one city, and you had, say, 10 people, 15 people, 20 people, or now they're saying 50 people, 50 people out of, say, I'm not sure each city if it's like 10 million or 5 million, that's that's quite low. But it seems like it's much larger than that. You can look at just the videos of the amount of people. I'd say thousands of people in the hospitals, in and out, stranded. It's almost like they can't even get out of the hospital because of the amount of people, and everyone is worried. Everyone is not clear what to do, how to get treatment. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't. I don't think any hospital is ready if this thing is like gonna infect uh, tens of thousands of people, let's say in a week or every couple of weeks. I don't know which hospital is going to handle tens of thousands of patients. We already have a situation with the hospitals. I don't know, and for sure in the U.S. is, you guys are a bigger country. In Canada, we have a big problem. We have long waiting times in the emergency. Your typical waiting time is 5 to 7 hours in an emergency room. So imagine this thing hits big and you have thousands of people hitting the hospitals. You know, it's gonna cripple the system almost within hours. I don't know. I'm very surprised why the Toronto Public Health and the government of Ontario and the federal government haven't declared this sort of situation or addressed it to the people to be clear of what's going to happen, and like how are they working to thwart this from coming into to Canada. They are sending infected back home, says the hospitals don't even have test kits. All gas stations close, all public transportation as well. Well, the gas stations close in public transportation because they don't want people to leave. They want to keep people, and if you're gonna die, probably if people are gonna be dying in large numbers, and this is a way of the government to control the situation. Yeah. It's not looking good. And it's interesting, like, I was reading reports that a lot of Twitter posts were being deleted and then reposted over and over. For example, you would think that this thing is trending on Twitter, then like the most sort of silliest things would be trending on Twitter, right? Let's see if we can find anything else here. Okay, that's else, but anyways. So how about this vaccination? Yeah. This patented vaccination. Because I remember when SARS hit, there was lineups of people that they just went to get vaccinated immediately. But I also heard that there was 50 people that got well. So after getting treatment, I'm not sure what that treatment would be. I would assume after you're infected, a vaccine is not really going to be really effective on you, right? Like from the concept of vaccines. Yeah, we'll see. So I assume most people here think that this is like so serious to a point of depopulation, like in a way that this could be one of the methods to depopulate large amounts of people. Okay, let's see what else. This quick burials thing that caught my interest. The corpse of Chen Min was wrapped in a yellow body. Okay, where is this coming from? This is from the Telegraph. Okay, the Telegraph. And it's about the quick burials. The corpse of Chen Min was wrapped in a yellow body bag with tape when it was delivered to the funeral home by workers in hazmat suits. The staff disinfected the van they traveled in and disposed of protective gear. Despite being pressured into a quick cremation by authorities, the grieving family did not know if the 65-year-old had died from the novel coronavirus sweeping China, and they still don't. Oh, wow. Official figures estimate that 41 people have died so far and 1,300 have been infected. But experts at Imperial College reckon as many as 9,700 could have come down with the disease. It seems it's much higher. Yeah. If this is true, that's ridiculous. That's totally absurd. that people have to bear with that type of idiot idiot type of um, you know mindset, and the way that officials sort of deal with situations they have no control of. Oh, so JE, where did you get that information from? Like, you're saying that the Chinese have built 55 plus? I saw that they're building a hospital. They're saying 1,000 patient hospital is going to be finished in a few days. They're making a mass grave. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, to come to think about it, how could they be building a hospital in 10 days? Where's the equipment? Where's the supplies? Where's the staff? I see what you're trying to say there. That's very sharp to think of that. Well, communist China, you have the idea. The history, right? You just have to go back to history and know that they probably don't mind it as long as they're in control. I don't know. It's just looking to me. It's like military have orders to shoot on site anyone trying to leave the quarantine zone. The other dictatorship and other regimes, like, they're ready to kill their own people just to keep everything under control. But if you try to keep things under control and you have bad intentions, things are gonna go sour sooner or later, and you get shit like this happening. And where any system corrupt, especially a system that I don't know. We don't know if this has been from biological weapon testing, but most likely it sounds like it. Like this coronavirus, they've been studying it since 2003, 2004, and you have outbreaks here and there. When I see situations like this where viruses just pop out and they just start locking down people, like this case, that just raises a lot of question marks to me, and um, I'm very skeptical of a situation like this. It's not something that you can just believe bluntly what the governments are saying to you. Exactly. Even the Toronto Health, stated today not to only to listen to them, not to look at alternative resources. So, is the next step not to suppress health, like which they've already been doing, but to suppress actual news coming out, like situations, video of people, dying, or tens of thousands of people lining up in front of a hospital? Should we hide that now? Hide actual reality? Is that the goal? Yeah, yeah. So tons of, yeah. I can say definitely. That's why I would always like to see where the source is. Like from the source, you can have an idea. Okay, where is it coming from? How is the language in the source? Was there images? Is there video? You have to look through the data, right? And you can make that discernment. Okay, go to YouTube, type in coronavirus, click the tab to put an upload date instead of relevance. Then last hour to see translated version of Guy from Wuhan's video. Okay. So what's in the video though? What is it, in English or is it translated? Nate L. Is it translated in English or is it in like Mandarin or in Chinese? Interesting. Subtitle. Okay, let's check that out. But CDC, that it's full of misinformation. Like that same tactic of blaming something else for the actual cause of death or disability, that's been going on through a lot of medical. That goes on a lot in the U.S. through the CDC when they come to look into vaccine reactions and some people who have disabilities due to medication, they will start to blame other or direct the fault at other diseases as opposed to the actual cause, just to cover up and make move away any sort of public eye on the fact that say a vaccine has caused injury or a medication has caused the person to feel ill. So you see that a lot. And in this case, if they're doing this situation in China, it's very pitiful. That's very sad to me. Like to read that story is like no. And again, everyone now is going to beat up on China. China, especially, has a lot of people that the regime, especially, there's a lot of countries around maximize their wins against the regime or the communist rule there. But other than the fact, I would say this is a global issue now. It's not an issue just with China, and I think there has to be more of an investigation as to how this virus came about. Is it from the sources they're saying from animal to human? How did that happen? Is there any details that we can go through? And there's also some people that they're getting better. So I was reading there's like 50 people that got well. Now, how did they get well? What was the treatment that they got? Is it just something that they had where they were able to adapt to the situation better than others? Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Options, Jasper. They try and blame what they eat, but it doesn't add up. It's translated and it doesn't. Just about the government not handling it right. They try and blame what they eat, but it doesn't add up. Well, with the pollution for sure, like with the amount of pollution, amount of lead in the air in China, the fluorine in the soil, uh, for sure they're immunocompromised. The situation there is not like they're the healthiest people. If you're living in a mass, pretty much all tech manufacturing has been shipped there. All electronics have been shipped. Manufacturing, most of it's been done in China. So it was a patent. Yeah, patented virus. Well, if it's a biological weapon, it's for sure gonna. I would say it's gonna be patented. Um, if that was the source, but I don't know. China's not really keen on getting patents, right? They have a lot of rules against IP protection. Well, not rules, but they're known to not uh, follow IP rules, right? Now things are getting more stricter there. But in any case, that's sort of a little bit off topic. 3 known cases in U.S. Yeah, I'm interested to see tomorrow what the news would say. It's like, what are they going to say the truth? You know, it's the same people that come up on the news that say that talk about fake news, talk about that people should get their information from reputable sources. But if those reputable sources are not giving you the truth or lack thereof, then who can you trust, right? Like this number of 52 people infected doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't click. So it's not clicking because if it's 52 people, you're locking down 35 million, then there's a serious situation. Like Many people are infected, and the people that are dying, it's probably happening very quickly. You can see people just standing in the street and just falling face down. It's pretty creepy and pretty, you know, uh, we don't want that to happen to any country. Like no one really wants to go to that situation. But the bubonic plague, other deadly diseases have happened, and this is their situation. When we'll see, but yeah, it's like someone who lies to you and says that you're the liar. That's typical. I've been you know uh, my whole concept. I don't believe anything on TV. Just even I've been through a lot, and it's my turn. 7 years ago, and I lost complete trust in mostly the medical system. And now, ever since the election in 2016 with with Donald Trump getting elected, because I followed that election since 2015 when he announced his wants to become a president, and I could see the lies that came out, spewed complete lies, like just in you know, uh, the worst hatred that you could actually spew against someone or a group of people was been being done on a daily basis since that time. And we had effects here in Canada. Like you couldn't express your opinion of who's going to be who do you feel is going to be the president of the United States. If I had a question with a student, like a student asked me, hey, who do you think is going to be elected? I was like, well, Hillary, looks very sick. She's falling over. She's wobbling. She can't speak right. And Donald Trump, people are fed up. The United States are seeing their jobs being sent overseas, etc. And one kid came up and he wants to have a fight with me. He's like, "You support Trump?" I'm like, "I'm just. It's none of your business about what I'm doing." Like that much of hatred been going on in the media, not just in the U.S. and Canada as well. And they lie like water. It's just I don't trust just whatever the media says. I'm not that type of person anymore. I used to, and I used to only get my information from the TV and believe it until start losing your health, and then you go through the medical system and you realize that this is just a sham. A lot of this is uh, there's a lot of good doctors out there. It's just that the system itself is hiding a lot of information from uh, traditional medicine, from homeopathic, naturopathic doctors. There are types of ways of treatments sort of being suppressed and pushed down. But that's sort of off topic. Maybe in another live feed or video, I'll talk more about that. But um, we'll see. I think the situation is definitely. So you guys, everyone here is following up. You guys are well versed with what's going on. Um, it doesn't look good, and just Iran. I don't know, rumors of wars. If you look back at biblical scripture, we were woke up with U.S. is going to war with Iran. Like it was almost that imminent. He's sent the Marines. He's sending even. I think there's from what I understand, there's 1,000 fighter jets based right now near Iran. So it's not like the U.S. has retreated. What you see right now is just psychological warfare. There is no sort of what's true or what's not, because if your enemy's not gonna tell you the truth, they're gonna come out and try to play with your mind, make sure that everything is fine and they're retreating. But situation between with Iran and with the U.S. and the Middle East is still very volatile, very, very volatile. It could explode any moment. But with what's happening now with this coronavirus, these are a lot of things happening in just 3 weeks after the New Year. So I don't know. It's like three and a half weeks. Yeah, the media is not going to tell you, they're covering up. It's a globalist media. They're covering up for their interests, and their interests are in the status quo, you know, status quo globally. So the, the whose best interest is to make millions of people in panic and shutting them down inside their home. If you know that, let's say I'm in Toronto, I know that, say, it, one maybe today there's one person infected, tomorrow there's 20 or 30. I'm not going to go to work. I'm staying home. I'm going to protect them. I'm not going to go get. It's not just me. I like my family. I'm not going to bring this disease, whatever. If God forbid I get infected, to my family. You know, I'd rather stay on the low end, and it's where money comes and money goes. But when you lose your health, and if you, God forbid, die, it's going to affect a lot of people around you. And we're not in China, and it is still North America, so we still have freedom of choice. We still have freedom to make our decisions, um, even if it's for now. And we'll just see how it goes. I just hope that the situation resolves, and it's not it gets cleared up soon. But just looking at the MERS, the Middle East, this one here, the Middle Eastern, what is it called again? Yeah, that was a novel here. It's acronym for Middle East Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus. That was back in 2012, but it hit Saudi Arabia pretty hard. So you had 575 deaths. But I remember for sure that like in the media, that wasn't really amplified. It wasn't something as near as shown serious as SARS. But this seems like it's much on a larger scale. So yeah, I would advise, if anyone, like, unless you want to take the risk, uh, if you're in a situation like your work is or school is in an area where people are getting infected, I wouldn't take that risk at this moment until things subside and it's clear what is this virus exactly, and how is it affecting um, the people, and is it something that's just going to subside quickly, or we don't know yet. Like SARS, I believe it was like it's like 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, 3 to 4 weeks. That was in like Toronto. If I'm not mistaken, that's when it started to subside. But you had people just lining up in front of health units for vaccinations. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Oh, really? Interesting. Because there's chartered planes to put all citizens out of the country. Oh, wow. Hmm. All citizens in China? Are you talking about in China or in those provinces? I don't know. What about the NBA? Are they going to be having games there? The NBA after this? They're, for to go to China is very dear for the NBA, right? So they can't give up on that. It's probably their largest market outside of the United States. Yeah. So I'm not sure what else we see here. Mm, yeah. Yeah. It's still same. Well, I don't think they're going to allow it to go get to that level. We'll see. Again, if this is somewhat like the bubonic plague, because you hear about these stuff coming out But this time, like every couple of years, you're hearing about the something similar to SARS or the coronavirus, the Ebola outbreak, the what it was the other one, H1N1, the virus that was in the mosquitoes. What else? What was it? Yeah, so every 2 3 years you're hearing about these things coming out, but this is way on a bigger, on a much amplified scale. Now it's hitting the heart of like China. So I think I'm not sure if we can find any more info. Oh, this is from the Star Online. Chinese toddler and parents who dodged quarantine in Johor were detained. Oh, okay. So they're starting to detain a toddler from China whose parents dodged quarantine after the child was suspected to have been infected with the Wuhan virus have been detained. Okay. Mhm. So this okay. Some people now, a lot of doctors are coming out against anti-vaxxers at this point, and yeah, they can keep patenting vaccines and they can keep polluting the environment. Let them just continue doing the same old shebang. You know, I don't know. Oh, that's very. Hmm. But it seems like the people that are sitting next to the okay, there's some dead bodies amongst people waiting for treatment. So that's my assumption from this video. It seems like the people are somewhat like almost deranged. I don't know how to term that. It's, I don't know. I see lack. Some videos show very lack of reaction. So I'm not sure if I saw someone just fall in front of me, I would just you know try to see if I can help or something. People dying in front of you is so there's definitely some lack of reaction there. Maynard Trundle, the 2 week incubation is what is worrying. Means that it must be everywhere now, and we are all actually simply waiting about another week until it seems like the ones in Wuhan play out here. Yeah. So where did you hear about the 2 week incubation though? Is that when the virus starts to uh, get into its virulent form, into the lytic stage of the virus? Maynard Trendle. I'm not sure if you're still here. I got a lot of updates. Okay, what are the updates that you have? Go to Dredge Report. Give me a wrench. How do I do that? How can I give you a wrench? I'm not sure. I'm not just make you a mod. Participants. Oh, okay. There's a toggle here for participants. Right. So can I make? You want me to make you a mod? I'm not sure how I can do that though. On Drudge Report. Okay, how's it looking? I've also heard that many people are having trouble with the stream. Many other YouTubers. Okay. They have determined a 10 to 14-day presentation phase. The symptoms are concerning as well because they seem streamlined in a sense that is engineered. Hey, streamlined. Okay, that is engineered. Do we have any? I couldn't find any information on what are the symptoms. Like, are they similar to the regular flu, or like muscle ache, cough, drowsiness? What are the symptoms like that are characteristic now of this coronavirus? So if it's a 10 to 14-day lysogenic period, so imagine you probably could start seeing things within a week or so here. Hey JE, how's it going? Well, I think just like we saw with the plane in Iran, that eventually the truth came out, like that it was shot down, right? There's no running away when you have a phone with 4 or 5 different types of cameras and different resolutions, and everyone just can flip their phone and take a picture or a video. It's different now. It's not like 20 years ago or 15 years ago, right? So unless they start suppressing, which they are on social media, unless they start suppressing the tweets or the videos or the posts, then the information is not going to be the information is not going to be suppressed. Like, it's going to come up. The truth will come up. People are not stupid. You guys, everyone here is not has a God-given brain. Everyone has a university, I guess, at this time, college or university education, with a master degree or 2 PhDs, MBA. So everyone is like really well educated to the max, and sifting through information isn't going to be, or you hope that people start, have a clue of that the information that is being spewed out by a lot of outlets is either diluted or inaccurate. It's called SARS. Symptoms are not yet fully understood. The corona doesn't even have a name because it's so new. I don't know. I saw journal articles from 2003, 2004 about the coronavirus, but again, different strain. And they were studying the symptomology or the symptoms, pathology of this disease. People are coughing blood in China. Oh, wow. Yeah. This is getting a lot of information, which is great. If we can share information, we could verify the sources, and try to gather, brainstorm what's actually going on, as opposed to reading Washington Post or reading, I don't know, whatever, Vox or other these news outlets that all really are giving you the same sort of narrative on most topics. So it's better if people can gather information from alternative sources and just sort of, try to picture what's actually going on and what would be the next actions moving forward. I'm trying to find, so Drudge. Okay, let's see if we can get Drudge here. Drudge report. Just bear with me, guys. Just taking some time here. Okay, so it's the front page of the Judge report. G. Spread accelerating Grave situation. 56 million quarantine. Nobody can leave. Oh, okay. Um, Not sure if I should. Okay. So a medic claim here. This is again from Judge. Medic claims 100,000 infected. Wow. Wow. This is okay. So the lady crying. Believed to work as the okay. So the sobbing woman believed to work at the quarantine Wuhan hospital in China says she has seen coronavirus victims dying in front of her eyes. Oh, oh. I took off around 4 p.m. I've been crying my eyes out. Indeed, the infection is much more horrible than it is reported on TV. I think I saw something. There are so many cases. Doctors have estimated about 100,000 infected. We have more than 10 doctors here. Wow. And even more than 100 infected people in just one day. Many of them will not make it. No hospital beds. Their relatives complain and insist on being treated in our hospital, as they quoted the government. Okay, however, the government didn't support us with medical supplies, hospitalized patients. It won't work. We have been slammed all day long, and we are all breaking down. Yeah, so the breaking down of the doctors and the health workers there in the Wuhan hospital. Yeah, you can actually see that like they're under a lot of stress and being definitely being traumatized. Imagine like being slammed with 100 lineup of people jam packed in all the corridors. So what is the psychology behind this? Who can handle that? Yeah, it's very tough, very difficult. Experts say 65 million will infect within the next 5 months. Um, yeah, someone named Michael. Yeah, just shut down the. Yeah, you would have to shut down, which basically is shutting down the provinces and the cities. So they are doing somewhat that, but I think I'm surprised why WHO hasn't come out and declared a global epidemic here at this point. Are they waiting for how many more people are they waiting to be infected and die? You know, if they should know the pathology of this virus, how it's spreading, and how it's affecting the patient. If it's killing patients within less than 24 hours, um, then this is something very severe. Oh, on Hulu. I have Hulu. I can check that out as well. Called Contagion. I've heard of that. Um, I don't know. Like, I would say the best bet is if, God forbid it starts to spread here in North America, Europe, other middle, like throughout the world, just you gotta, I know it's gonna be very difficult, but like you gotta avoid, at least I would say, for me, I'm worried now just hearing that with the situation in Toronto with that one case. It's probably more because apparently that person was in a plane sitting next to three or four others. So now they're going to test those three other people that he was sitting next to. But if he's sitting next to three or four, like he's not walking in the airport, he's not interacting with people in the airport, going to get a pop or going to get a coffee or something. Um, then they're not standing around. People are not passing by. He's not sneezing. He's not coughing. So that's just that's stupidity. If you're just gonna go test those people that he was sitting next to in the airplane, then you have to go check who he's interacted or how many people he may have interacted in the airport. So, and we don't know like that person's severity, that one in Toronto, right? So I'll be very interested to see surprised to see that no one else is infected by tomorrow here in Toronto. But I definitely, and if I told my family that I would not go to work. I would wait it out a few days just to see, because we saw SARS, in Toronto, and we saw how the public health was just so inexperienced, and they didn't take the proper measures initially to warn the public, because nurses initially were treating patients without any mask, without any precaution, and several nurses died. Several people they on the GO train. So yeah, no, it's just these governments. And I don't know, like if your government is going to start hiding numbers like that from the world and from the people, just to save their face, as they say. So imagine, like, how much do they actually value their people? Yeah. Here, and I'm not saying here is even better, right? Like, you got people that they don't give a crap, right? Especially in government, and people are drifting more and more towards these um, communist, socialist mentality, where it's just that you're just a number, in the system. You don't really have a true value. So yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. You work, but it's like the whole system is trying to get you into socialism, especially in Canada. That's what I've been here for 17 years, and I know, you know, like, the system is not gearing for you to be self-sustainable. They want you to come to a situation where you need to get help from the government for everything. And, like, as you can see, when the refugees come or immigrants come, like, I'm not saying immigrants, no, but let's say refugees, like, they're really giving a lot of free stuff, and it's at the taxpayers' expense. We work the long hours. We work the 2 to 3 jobs to make an ends meet. Um, and people are like that. University students with like thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in debt, working through university after university. Like, socialism is definitely here. It's just that, how much can you handle it? How much can you work your way out of it and avoid it? Try to be sustainable and not be dependent on the government. You know, like, I see people in Lebanon. That's my home country. If you notice, the protests in Lebanon are all throughout the country. It's interesting to see, like, the whole Middle East is going in flames. And the country's been crippled now for the last 2.5 months. Um, Government shut down, businesses shut down. We're talking about 4.5 million people. People are refusing to go to work. People are refusing. They want the government to do things for them. But, like, I look at it in both ways. Yeah, the government there is corrupted. Um, is there? How can I say? People get into the government positions and they end up becoming multi millionaires within a very short period of time. So there is corruption. But again, if you're living to wait for the government to do things for you and support you, and be so heavily dependent on the government, then anytime the government has a different mindset against, or different from yours, you're caught in that loop, in that net. So you're about to submit, and I don't like that idea. So I tell my uh, the patrons from Lebanon, or relatives, like, people can't be so much dependent on the government. You can't wait for the government to do everything for you, like a little baby. You have to do things on your own, be self-sustainable, self-reliable. So, and then you can see the result, like in China. Um, that's how they work, right? So they've been doing that for years now, and people have been giving them a green light to have this sort of system. And now people are in dire need of medical support. And what they do is they'll just keep hiding the actual situation. Until what? Until it's not 30 years ago. People now are awake. They have phones. They have internet. And no matter what, even if they keep suppressing, people find ways to get the information out, and it's different. So these regimes hiding information, it's not going to happen as easy as it used to happen before. You know, in this situation there, because it's going to definitely put an impact on them soon. Coronavirus. Okay. Lincoln Corsair. Never trust a person who rude questions, and Danny Green. Okay, this is what I see that's trending on Twitter. Yeah, and yeah, social media 900, 900 to 1,000 that are infected. You can these trends. You look at them. You say, okay, well, if 10 news outlets are giving you the same information, are they getting it from the same source, or are they just agreeing on that? That's the information we're going to give to the mass population. Yeah, well, I would say they're doing the same thing that other like totalitarian countries would do, is when shit hits the fan, they're going to shut down the internet. Okay, I just think I just was disconnected for a while. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I'll thanks for coming to the my channel. And give me. Really had a good time to read a lot of your comments. Um, this is a good way for us all to interact, and sometimes it's always good to give a source. Where are you getting that information from? Uh, and if it sometimes you have to use your own discernment. If something sounds too bizarre or doesn't sound realistic, then you need to look further and look deeper. Where is this information coming from? And at the same time, we don't want to be very shallow and just accept anything that the mainstream media just puts out for us. We want to well, it's hard to fact check when you're doing your job or you're at your work or at your home or at your school, but you can do a little bit of research. You can see, does this information actually make sense, or is there any motives behind the scenes? Another thing you can do further is who owns these newspapers, who owns the news sites, and look from there um, what the motives could be. And yeah, like it's good to always have this information free. That we're living in still in somewhat free society, although tech giants are suppressing with their algorithms and whatnot. We just have to keep on making sure that we do have freedom, and that information is accessible to everyone. And uh, wrong information. People should have the intellect. I would say we're at a time where most people are at least university educated or college educated. So people have, a brain to think, does this information make sense, and rather than just to believe nonsense. And at the same time, things can be sourced out. So if you see a source, start confirming, and video, you have pictures, you have video. All those can also be fabricated, mind you being, but um, in most cases, um, you have to look at things as a holistic picture, bigger concept. And this situation, we know it's escalating and it's going to be big. It's already big, but we just hope that it subsides and no other people uh, die, which is it's hard to say. Like many people are going to be dying from this in China for sure, but hopefully it doesn't spread to our countries that we're here at this point. But um, yeah, I would say there has to be more investigation as to how this came about. Is it actually related to biological weapons or not? That's going to be really hard to determine and actually find out for sure. There'd have to be more and more someone expert that knows um, about virology, about how the virus can evolve, or how it can be sequenced to be able to transfer from animals to humans and cause this effect. So I don't know, like that's still not for sure, but we just have to see how the events will span out. And thanks again for visiting my channel, and We'll see you guys soon. Take care. God bless.